Badger Army, it's Nick here, guest presenter, off the bench and dropping the mic like I can afford another one, right here on The Badger Show. Thank you for joining me today. So, June has been the month of Euro 2020 being both so current and so last year. It's also been the month where we've been trying to remember the true meaning behind Pride Month amidst a sea of major store merch bizarreness. And it's also the month in which Anne Robinson is making her return to TV quiz show land as she takes over from Nick Hewer as the host of Countdown. Anne Robinson is of course best known as the presenter of the UK and original US version of The Weakest Link.
You are the weakest link, goodbye.
Anne Robinson has achieved a lot in her 76 years, having worked for many years as both a TV presenter and a journalist. I grew up watching her on shows like TV letter show Points of View and consumer show Watchdog. She also presented shows such as Test the Nation, What's the Problem and Outtake TV. But it remains Weakest Link, where she was dubbed the Queen of Mean, that she remains best known. I used to watch The Weakest Link a lot when it was on in the early noughties, but I always kind of had a love-hate relationship with it. I actually went and watched it filmed at Elstree Studios a few times, and yes, the most remarkable thing that I saw was that at the end of every round, Anne Robinson would walk off stage, hand her glasses to someone who was only there, I think, to hold her glasses while she was off stage. And yeah, what a surreal experience that was. The Weakest Link was launched in August 2000, and it quickly gained both large ratings and a lot of complaints.
4 votes, you are the weakest link, goodbye.
Her icy demeanour was certainly unheard of in quiz shows at that time, and fans of the show would tell critics that if they wanted to watch a show where people were nice to each other, then go and stick with Countdown. 20 years later, oh the irony. When it was announced that Anne Robinson was taking over Countdown, a series of Weakest Link videos from many years ago resurfaced in which she called contestants fat, stupid, and even once asked a single mother of 3 boys how many ASBOs they had. Basically, totally going against the advice that if you've nothing nice to say, say nothing. In recent interviews, Robinson has said that The Weakest Link wouldn't be commissioned today, and she certainly wouldn't get away with a lot of the insults today. She's quoted in the Daily Mail as saying everyone would be too worried about contestants' mental health and sending them home with issues. My response to that would be, worrying about people's mental health is not and never should be regarded as a bad thing. It's also worth noting, Miss Robinson, that you barely got away with some of your comments back then. During the Weakest Link's run between 2000 and 2012, Robinson attracted controversy for calling Liverpudlian shoplifters, the Welsh annoying and ignorant. The Prison Wardens Association once demanded she apologising for saying all female prison wardens were lesbians. And once the National Care Homes Association asked she apologise for asking a nursing home worker if she stole money and jewellery from her elderly patients when they weren't looking. It's also worth noting that if Weakest Link was going to be launched in its original format today on BBC Two at 5:15, you can bet that newspapers such as the Daily Mail, to which Robinson's quote was attributed, would be up in arms about licence payers' money being spent on just insulting people all the time. The reasons that a show like Weakest Link wouldn't be as successful today isn't just down to perceptions of political correctness. The perceived intrigue or even freshness of her presenting style back then wouldn't have quite the same impact in the era of the internet troll. Considering insults are thrown around online all the time now, you wouldn't need a TV show to validate that. Also, other hit game shows such as Tipping Point and Pointless prove that you can have a quiz show with a competitive element without resorting to insults. And even on The Chase, where occasionally chasers do throw insults at contestants, it's generally not as severe and certainly doesn't take up anywhere near as much time as insults on Weakest Link used to. Of course, Weakest Link has resurfaced in a few countries, including the US, Australia and the Netherlands, 3 of over 100 countries to whom the format was originally sold to. The reason it came back on in those countries isn't necessarily because of sensitivity, but the show only ran for a few years in those countries. After all, originally starting in 2001, they'd all been cancelled by 2004. Bringing the show back over a decade later meant there was a whole new audience for the show, as well as people who remember it from first time round. And that's the difference between a strong ratings winner and a weak link. It seems unlikely that Anne Robinson will take on the Queen of Mean persona again when she takes over Countdown, but she certainly won't take a laid-back approach either. Either way, it may well be interesting to see what does happen, but if she's constantly saying to deputy managers, are they not good enough to be main managers, that's probably going to end up being pretty tiring and pretty weak pretty soon. I've been Nick Field, thanks for joining me here on The Badger Show. Don't forget to check out some of our other videos and subscribe. I'll be back on or off the bench with Badger very soon. Take care, keep safe and keep well. Bye for now.